change. To see how this works, let's meet Barnaby the bear. Now, Barnaby has a goal. He wants to be a healthy, fit bear. But right now, he's having a serious internal debate. See, part of him knows he should go catch some delicious omega-3 packed salmon. But there's another, much louder part of him just screaming to eat this entire pot of honey right now. Does that sound at all familiar?
That feeling? That sensation of being pulled in a million different directions? That's not you being indecisive. Nope, it's the sound of your brain's parliament, and they are in a heated session. The truth is, you're not a single unified self. You're actually more like a democracy, a team of rivals, with all these different parties shouting over each other, trying to decide what you're going to do next.
So, what are these parties in our little brain parliament? In neuroscience, they're called neural networks. You can just think of them as specialized teams of brain cells, all wired together, and each one has a very specific mission. One network might be laser-focused on your long-term health, while another one is all about getting that immediate, sugary, feel-good hit. And this is exactly what's going on inside Barnaby's head. You've got the sensible bear calmly making a case for salmon. But the impulsive bear is over there staging a filibuster for the honey. And at the same time, the ambitious bear is worried about career goals like building a bigger dam. And the social bear just wants to go hang out. Whoever wins the vote in that moment is what determines what Barnaby actually does. Okay, so if our brain is just this constant battle of competing networks, how on earth can we ever actually change? Well, the answer lies in one of the most incredible concepts in all of science, brain plasticity. This is the big promise. It means your brain is not fixed. It's more like clay, constantly being molded and reshaped by every experience you have, every thought you think, and every action you take. Now, this plasticity, it does change a bit over our lifetime. When Barnaby was just a little cub, his brain was all about what we call fluid intelligence. He could learn anything. He could have learned to speak squirrel or navigate a totally new forest. But as he gets older, his brain starts to specialize, and it develops crystallized intelligence. He becomes an expert at being this bear living in this forest. And here's a totally wild fact about that process. Your brain actually had the most connections it will ever have when you were about 2 years old. It was like this massively overgrown garden. So from that point on, learning isn't just about adding new things. It's actually about pruning, strengthening the pathways that are important and letting the ones you don't use wither away. That's how you become an expert in your own world. So here's the crucial part. Even as adults, we can still direct this whole pruning process. We can consciously choose which pathways we want to reinforce and which ones we want to let go. We really can be the sculptors. And the main tool we use to do this is one simple, powerful thing: challenge. That's the secret sauce to building a better brain. So here's the basic playbook. First, you've got to seek out new things. When Barnaby decides to learn how to juggle acorns, something he's never ever done before, his brain just lights up with activity. Second, he needs to find that sweet spot, It has to be difficult, but not so hard that he just gives up. And finally, once he gets really good at juggling, the best thing he can do for his brain is to find a new challenge. Master it and move on.
So why is all this challenging so important? Well, because every time you do it, you're building something called cognitive reserve. I want you to think of it like a safety net for your mind, or maybe like a whole bunch of backup roads and detours that protect your brain's ability to function as you get older. It is one of the most powerful things you can do for your long-term health.
There was this famous study of Catholic nuns that proved this in the most amazing way. When researchers looked at their brains after they passed away, many had all the physical signs of advanced Alzheimer's disease. And yet, in life, they had shown 0 symptoms of dementia. Why? Because they lived these lives that were full of social and mental challenges. They were constantly building new neural roadways and bridges. So how can Barnaby build up his own cognitive reserve? Well, he can stay social with other bears, which is actually one of the most complex things a brain can do. He can learn new games and skills, like that acorn juggling. He can take on new chores and responsibilities. It all comes back to the same principle. You have to consistently push your brain to build those new bridges. Okay, so we know we can reshape our brain over the long term through challenge. But what about managing that noisy parliament right in the heat of the moment? Well, there's a really clever trick for that, a way to help that sensible long-term part of you win the vote. It's called a Ulysses contract.
It's named after the Greek hero Ulysses, right? He had his crew tie him to the mast of his ship so he couldn't steer them towards the siren's deadly song. So a Ulysses contract is basically a pre-commitment. It's your present self setting up a system to stop your future self from caving into temptation.
So let's bring this right back to Barnaby. Present-day Barnaby, in a moment of total clarity, knows he does not want to eat that whole pot of honey. But he also knows that future Barnaby, especially when he's tired or stressed, is going to let that impulsive bear hijack the whole parliament. So, what can he do about it?
He makes a Ulysses contract. It's simple. Step 1. Barnaby makes the decision to be healthier. Step 2. He takes a real action to limit his future self. He gives the only key to the honey cabinet to his super trustworthy friend, Squirrel. So now, later on, when future Barnaby gets that intense craving, the impulsive bear is totally out of luck. The sensible plan wins by default.
And this